Welcome to the A-Dub Club, a podcast about sci-fi, fantasy, technology, pop culture, the internet, and general nerdery. There are three things that are important to know. One, we occasionally use swear words, but try to stay in the range of PG-13, or at least the kind of R that cool parents are fine with. Two, we may talk spoilers. In this particular episode, we discuss Avengers: Infinity War, and most other movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so be warned. And finally, three, most importantly, Marvel was once able to skirt a law that required toys that looked like humans be taxed by saying, these X-Men aren't human toys, they're mutants. With that out of the way, welcome to the clubhouse. We have snacks. Welcome to the A-Dub Club. My name is Andrew Whipple.
I am Alex Wade.
See, it's not even a bit anymore. I genuinely forget that the way we do a back and forth is that I say a thing, you say a thing, and then I would say a thing. And it's you know.
Yeah, just no third things.
No
Comedy
third
comes
things.
in twos, you know?
Comedy comes in twos. That's the true statement. How are you doing, Alex Wade? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. It's been more than a month, hasn't it?
Maybe, probably, something along those lines.
Yeah, because the last one was my birthday. Damn.
Hey, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the last one was on death and immortality, which was fun.
And then we went silent.
But yeah, in the month or so since we've done an episode, a big movie came out. A movie that apparently, as of yesterday, just topped $1.9 billion worldwide, which is insanity. And that is the Marvel movie Avengers: Infinity War. And today for our episode, we're going to do another one of those fun little cop-outs and say that our question is, what did you think of Avengers: Infinity War?
Good.
Yeah. Same.
End of episode.
We're done. Thanks. You'll be hearing the music swelling in, and then we'll cut to our little post-credits.
Beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we both agree it's a good movie. We liked it. What would be sort of your paragraph long, a couple sentences of thoughts on Infinity War?
Man, I just kind of feel bad about saying it. Yeah, I feel bad about because I really did enjoy it, but my review, would be safe. Yeah, it had a bit of feeling in it of what I felt after The Last Jedi, of this movie isn't meant for this movie. This movie is meant for the ones that come after it. And the Infinity War felt I definitely felt this feeling a lot less so watching Infinity War, because it on its own was a decent movie. But it did have a bit of preparatory feel to it of we're doing this so that the next one can be good. But beyond that, of I really enjoyed, as I said before, the interactions between new sets of superheroes. I enjoyed most of the comedy, but sometimes Drax as the comedic punchline to 20 jokes in that movie, I don't know. I can only stand absurdist literal humor so much.
Sure.
I don't know, how about you?
I think for me, so my opening statement, I guess, is I really, really loved the experience of watching the movie. I think more than I loved the movie itself. And for me,
interesting,
kind of the same but opposite version as for you, whereas for you, it felt like a lot of plate setting for the movies to come. For me, it felt like this is a big culmination of the 18 movies previous. And a big part of that was because I watched all 18 movies in preparation for this, which also entirely turned around my whole opinions of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I went from someone who was pretty meh on it overall to someone that became an unabashed fan. But I don't know, I guess for me, it really felt like a similar experience to watching a really good like season finale of Game of Thrones or something like that, but for a movie series. And so
Interesting.
I think totally agree with you that it's a competently made movie that is, good on its own as far as that takes you. But for me, it was the experience of watching it after having watched so many of these movies over the last 10 years and then over the previous month, that it felt like a not complete culmination, because I also agree that it was a lot of setting up for Avengers 4, but it tied everything together, even if it didn't put a cap on it.
What I'm really curious about is they already have a schedule for like the next movies, right?
Yes, they do.
That's
and okay, as will be said in the beginning, spoilers for Infinity War will be in the whole pre blah blah blah. But for now, maybe let's say for real, like spoilers, go back. It's been out for a month or whatever, so who cares?
Everyone died.
Everyone dies, or half of everyone dies. It's bad. And the two movies that are coming out next is Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming out pretty soon, and then there's a Spider-Man sequel, and then Captain Marvel, I think, are the three ones that are coming out between now and Avengers 4. And I believe all three are set before Avengers 4 and before Infinity War. I know that's the case for the Spider-Man one and Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's like supposed to be set in the 90s, I think. And I don't know. I think that's also the case for Ant-Man.
Okay.
So they're dealing with it by just ignoring it.
That's good. I'm glad. But I mean, I'm kind of glad, but also like that could be so cool. Like,
did you ever watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I did not. No.
I'm agreeing with you on that point, because I started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it first came out, and I watched like maybe 5 or 6 episodes and was like very meh on it, and was like, this is not a very good show. I was told towards the end of the first season, like IO9 and everyone was saying that like, hey, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got really good. So I went back and they said like, watch these specific episodes. And the moment when it gets really, really good is when the episode right after Winter Soldier came out, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is all about S.H.I.E.L.D. and Winter Soldier is all about, hey, S.H.I.E.L.D. is full of Hydra. And so then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately switches to having to deal with the fact that now S.H.I.E.L.D. has fallen apart. Half of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. One of their key team members is secretly a Hydra agent. And then the show became super, super good from that point on. Petered off a little bit, I think, around season 3, and I need to catch up on it. But exactly stuff like that of the big universe-shattering effects of one movie, in this case, turned a TV show from meh to great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I want to see. That's the kind of like risks that I wanted to see this movie take, that they just didn't. Like, I mean, they technically took a risk of like killing off half the universe, but that is still a very like, I'm sure exactly who has been destroyed or killed or, removed from existence and who was in this movie was carefully calculated over like 5 years or whatever. Right. And there's that, I don't know. I just wanted to see more risks.
Yeah, we're hopping around a little bit. Maybe after we talk a little bit about the ending, then we can jump back and talk about the rest of the movie. But did the deaths have impact on you as you were watching? Both the ones leading up to snapping the fingers and everyone melts away, and then when everyone melted away?
Yeah, so I'd say, who's the order of people dying? Like Loki dying? That was...
So yeah. At the beginning, Heimdall and Loki die on the Asgardian ship. Yeah.
I don't know. That was kind of big, but it was kind of like, for me, whenever someone died, it was like, okay, so since there were so many stars in there, and they're like, who wasn't in there? Ant-Man.
Hawkeye and Ant-Man, I think, are the two.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel very... not conceited, but that's not the word. What's the word for when you are cynical? Cynical. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel very cynical.
Yeah, cynical is the word for when you're feeling cynical. That's true.
Yeah, it's that. But I don't know. I feel very cynical watching the movie. It just seemed like it was produced. I don't know how to describe it.
Sure. But yeah, let's see. In terms of deaths, Heimdall and Loki get killed in the Asgardian ship. I think the next one is Gamora at the Soul Stone bit. And then I think Gamora, then I think it's Vision during the battle, which then gets reversed, but then killed again. And then it's the big snapping the fingers, which let's see if we have a list of who all the various people are. Okay, Wikipedia, Bucky, Black Panther, Groot, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, Mantis, Drax, Peter Quill, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was big. I mean, I really want to. That's when it got interesting.
And Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
Yes, but that's the problem with the movies. Like that was when the movie got like seriously interesting. Like that's when it was like, okay, these are the decisions they made. I know I complained earlier about how like they made these in advance, but whatever, because like you got to make decisions, right? But
sure,
it just felt like that was really the risk they were taking. I want to see what happens now. I don't know. I'm too cynical about this shit.
Let's dive, because I think that'll be a fun conversation at the end to talk about like where do you think things go from here, and what about Avengers 4 and all that fun stuff. Let's go back and talk a little bit about the movie. Do we want to? Yeah. So in terms of like broad threads that happen throughout the movie, like you said, there's a lot of the cool thing about this movie is all these different characters interacting in neat ways. There's one thread that has Thor meeting up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which then also splits off into threads that Thor sort of leads, as well as then ones where Star-Lord goes off and does his thing, which eventually meets up with another thread of Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange that go off into space after Doctor Strange gets kidnapped on Earth. And there, what even are the other threads? There's so many threads of this gosh dang movie because there's like 45 characters. Why don't we talk about the Hulk one, or not Hulk, excuse me, Thor and Guardians first, while I figure out who the other threads are.
So Thor met up with the Guardians, and then he went off to build his new weapon with Groot and Rocket Raccoon to meet Tyrion.
Yep,
the Lannister in the space forge. I mean, there's not really much to say about that in my opinion. It was kind of like a MacGuffin chase to make a new weapon that had some like really cool visuals.
Here's one thing I will say though. The combo of Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War has turned Thor into one of my favorite Marvel characters. I really liked Thor in this movie.
Interesting. Why?
For me, I mean, a huge part of it came from that moment. One, I mean, Chris Hemsworth is just super funny, and I think the movies previous have not given him enough time to like be as funny as he is. And it was good pairing him with the Guardians because cool, you're pairing him with the comedic characters. But for me, it all came down to that scene where he's talking with Rocket in the spaceship about like, hey, you know, what about your dad? Oh, my dad's dead. What about your mom? Mom's dead too. What about your brother? He's dead. He's died before, but he's probably going to die again. And then when it finally gets real and Chris Hemsworth says whatever the line is about like how he needs to kill Thanos and is like trying not to cry, and it hit me a lot. It was very good acting on Chris Hemsworth and Thor's part. Oh, it's the part that's on the spaceship when he's talking to Rocket.
Yes, when he's like, "Okay, Captain." Yeah. When Rocket said that, yeah, okay, I get that. I think Thor, he's definitely changed a lot since his original character, which is I think is really awesome because not honestly many of the other characters have done that outside of like the first movie they were in of like who was like Gamora used to be an assassin, then she like softened up, right, or whatever, but then she's that same person after that first movie arc, right? And I mean, the only other person I can really think of who's changed as much as him has been Captain America. But Captain America, he's changed in more like he's gotten wiser and realized like what America's really about. He just feel like he's gotten more jaded, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, but jaded in an interesting way of, I don't know. That's the whole thing about Captain America, about like he's the ultimate patriot in that he will fight for what he believes about America, even if it means fighting America to do it. But
I mean, that's cool. His new axe is really, really awesome.
I'm a little bit frustrated about how like, the huge through line of Thor Ragnarok was, hey, you don't need your hammer. The power is within you all along. Except for now, I need to go get another big axe because I need more power. Anyway,
I actually do.
Yep. The rest of the Guardians then go off and try and get the Reality Stone away from Reality Stone, Power Stone, whichever stone was with the Collector.
That was a reality one. Yeah.
Yep. Reality Stone.
That was I really liked the use of the stones. I mean, outside of the like story and plot of the thing, every like little bit of the movie was really cool in the sense of like the scene where he turned them into spaghetti or stone after they tried to attack him with the Collector, or like he shot the gun and there were bubbles that came out. Just the tidbits like that were really nice. Also, Thanos. Yep. I loved Thanos.
Yeah. This, talk more about your thoughts on Thanos.
Yeah, I mean, something I really liked about Thanos is he has this. I would describe it as like a quiet arrogance. It's like he knows exactly how powerful he is. And in all the fights that he's in, he takes punches and he gets angry and he can use his power so much more in all of those fights. Like he didn't need there. That was something that I found interesting was like, normally when things like that happen and it's like, oh, hey, that's so stupid. Why didn't he just use his Infinity Stones to kill everyone when he only had like 2 or 3 of them, right? He could have easily killed them all. But he didn't, because I feel like it's in his character to have these interesting fights,
Yeah, I know. I think I agree. And I also think there's a little element of Thanos that like, skipping around plot lines a bit, but in the fight with Iron Man on Titan, of like, even when he is about to try and kill him, he's like, hey, you fought really well. Hey, I hope everyone remembers you, or everyone that survives remembers you. Because I think there is that sort of respect that he has for the people that he's fighting in a perverse way.
It makes him. He's a person. That's what I really like about his character. He's not this big bad evil guy. I mean, he is that, but in addition to that, like he has purpose and he has kindness. He has, like, at first I was a little bit skeptical of the scene when he was like getting the soul stone and he's like, oh, I do love someone. It's Gamora, and I'm killing Gamora. At first I was kind of a little bit like, okay, but does he really care about this person who he's like basically tortured and killed her family? And but I don't know, I kind of bought into it a little bit.
Yeah I mean, I'll say that scene hit me when I was watching it in the theater. I'm guessing a big part of that is just that, like, hey, it's a well-made movie and it's a little bit cheap emotional manipulation, but and how good of an actor Josh Brolin and Zoe Saldana are.
Yes.
But that worked for me. Also, the it being Red Skull as the keeper of the Soul Stone destroyed me the first time I saw it in the theaters, particularly because I had seen the first Captain America so recently, and also really always liked Captain America has been my favorite Avenger and favorite through line of the series. Previous to this, and so like, holy shit, it's Red Skull! Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, do you know why he's there?
I think the explanation is that when he got teleported away in the end by the Tesseract at the end of the first Captain America movie, that I think he says something along the lines of like, to punish me, it sent me here. Then the whole like, oh, it's the ultimate power that I'll never be able to have because my interpretation of that is because there's nothing he loves because he's an insane person and a Nazi, too much of a Nazi to even be a Nazi.
But okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was a cool scene. The Soul Stone. I mean, what do you know what the Soul Stone does? Is that like the Life Stone or something?
Honestly, I don't know because here's the thing: I've never historically read Marvel comics or really many comics at all. So everything I know about the Infinity Gauntlet, I know from watching the movies.
Good.
But yeah, we can chat about it a little more when we talk about like, oh, what do we think is going to happen next? There's some theories I've heard about like the Soul Stone and how the Soul Stone might work and how that might lead into the way things play out in Avengers 4. But we can chat about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that plot line, Guardians, they try to stop him on Nowhere. And because Gamora knows the location of the Soul Stone, tells Peter, hey, you're going to have to kill me if he captures me. And he tries, but can't quite do it. And then also his gun shoots bubbles when he does try. She gets kidnapped. She leads him to the Soul Stone. And then Thanos has to kill her in order to get the Soul Stone because the Soul Stone demands a sacrifice of whatever you love most in the world. And then the rest of the Guardians decide to go to Titan in order to try and kill Thanos, where they meet up with, leaping a million years back into the story, the thread of Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man.
I really liked that interaction of Doctor Strange and Iron Man, of just like there are these two arrogant in their own ways. I mean, Doctor Strange definitely in his own movie, like that was his character arc, was becoming like more humble and, not this arrogant heart surgeon or whatever. Right. But he still has this like holier than thou, I'm here to protect your universe. And my way is the only way that matters kind of sense about him. Which does not mesh well, obviously, with Iron Man, which was great.
Yep. And Spider-Man is there too, which here's what I will say. I had not seen the Spider-Man movie until Spider-Man Homecoming, until I rewatched all 18 Marvel movies in one sitting. Not one sitting, but 1 month. And it became my second favorite Marvel movie after Winter Soldier, which is my favorite. I loved Spider-Man Homecoming.
I'm okay with them remaking Spider-Man movies. They're usually pretty good. Like at least the first one in the series is always good.
Yeah, and it's good, and it's not an origin story movie. It takes place after Civil War, or maybe partially.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I think maybe Civil War happens like in between the first scene and the rest of the movie, or something like that. But it's really good. Part of the reason why I like this is a tangent to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. Part of why I liked it is it's also like a high school teen movie that also is a superhero movie and a Marvel movie at the same time. Okay. And I really like John Hughesy teen movies. So it's fun. I got really mad that this is not a spoiler, but well, I guess it is a spoiler, but not a meaningful one, that their final, the homecoming dance that happens during the movie is an 80s themed one.
Okay.
And the fight doesn't happen at the 80s themed homecoming dance. We only see like 2 seconds of the dance. And I'm like, no, that would have been the best. Why even make a high school Spider-Man movie with an 80s themed homecoming dance if you don't have your fight happen at the 80s themed homecoming dance?
Yeah.
But whatever.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, this is a little bit more of a spoiler-ish kind of, but Iron Man is a big character in the Spider-Man movie, and a key through line is this sort of like surrogate dad relationship between Peter and Tony, and man, it I don't know, it pays off in this movie in a really sad way.
Yeah,
assuming that things don't get undone.
That was something that really. I mean, the end of the movie of like him snapping his fingers and people disappearing, that, I mean, I said this before, like that was the interesting part. That was like, I mean, obviously everything's going to be fine because what Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange is like, if there's only one way, he's like, I had to give the stone. It's like, what?
We'll see.
He's going to, we'll see. But also like, I'm afraid, like the thing about Thanos is he's a real person, right? And he has the capability of doing good because he thinks that he is doing good, right? So I'm just kind of afraid that it's going to end up with some touchy-feely heart-to-heart conversation with Thanos about how, hey, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. And then he's going to be like, oh, okay, snap my fingers, everything's back to normal.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But
I mean, that's what happens.
Quite possibly.
In the comic books I had read about, apparently, like he regrets his decision, and he realizes like he's now a god and can do whatever he wants, and he can just change his mind.
I mean, hey, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens. He's a real person, so I guess maybe make him play like a real person.
We all make mistakes.
Anything else to talk about on the Iron Man side of the movie?
Yeah, I love Iron Man. He's been in like every single movie since Iron Man, I think. Like,
yeah,
he's the cash cow. And I thought this was his and Captain America's last movie. For some reason, I heard that rumor.
Yeah,
but
I did too.
But it's not, and I'm a little frustrated by that because like there needs to be a new generation, you know?
Yeah. We'll talk about that more when we talk about what we think will happen next, because I have thoughts on that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that and after this, maybe we can also talk about the Captain America side of the movie. I wish that they had gotten a little more to do, both Cap and Tony, in this one, because I mean, there's only so much you can do in such a humongously overstuffed movie. Yeah. But in comparison to like Civil War in particular, or the first Avengers movie, it's not as driven by them as previous Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like Thor gets a little bit more, maybe partially by virtue of him being in a smaller crew than other folks. He's certainly not the lead of the movie by any stretch, but of the three Avengers, it feels like he leads his plot line more than the others, to me at least.
He was in charge of his own destiny.
Cool. Anything else with Doctor Strange or Spider-Man or Tony?
It was nice to see the Time Stone finally get used.
Yeah.
Like, so far I've seen two things. I've seen him use it against the Shan. I just rewatched the scene in Doctor Strange of how he keeps dying over and over again. Mm-hmm. There's that scene.
Yeah.
Then there's this scene where he looks into the future, and that's it. That's the only way I've seen the Time Stone be used, I think.
Yeah. To be fair, this is only the second movie it's been in, but sure. Yeah.
But it's one of the Infinity Stones. Like, come on.
Doctor Strange is such a okay movie, but it looks so unbelievably cool.
That's what I loved about Doctor Strange was for the scenes. There was one that was like going through the city, and they kept like doing all these crazy things with like Inception style stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was cool. I really enjoyed watching that movie.
Yep. God, I wish Rachel McAdams is such a good actress. I wish that she was in a better movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Doctor Strange is cool though. He's probably my favorite superhero because he's just a wizard.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, he's straight up a wizard, and that's so cool to have.
I wish that they did more, that Scarlet Witch got to do more good things, because Scarlet Witch is very cool, but there's like, her character is so severely half-baked in every time, everything other than Age of Ultron, which is a bad movie.
She's just like, I don't know.
There's so many threads with Scarlet Witch that, like, if they gave them enough time and played with them enough, would be the coolest thing. Of like, they never talk about the fact that her brother died. They never talk like deal with her thing about like, I'm weird and super powerful and can't control my powers and feel like a weapon. They never really deal with that. They never really spend enough time on her relationship with Vision, all of which could be very cool and make her the best. But
I mean, isn't this only her second movie?
This is, I think, her third, maybe her fourth. Maybe third. So yeah, Age of Ultron, Civil War, and
Civil War. Yeah. So I mean, she's just been like, she has never had her. I mean, I guess Age of Ultron is technically her own movie, but that was still like, she was an ancillary character.
Yeah.
Who was like I don't know, not the goal, I don't know. It was still an Avengers centric movie, and she was brought up there. And then in the other ones, it was like she was tacked on and not really that important.
Yep. But whatever, because they'll bring her back to life, and then she'll be one of the core Avengers in the next generation, probably. And everyone will be happy.
Be cool.
Speaking of which, let's go to the one last plotline that we haven't talked about, the Captain America side of things, where really, I guess, the Captain America, Scarlet Witch, and Vision side of things, where they get attacked, and they're all talking about like, hey, Vision is made of the Mind Stone. We should think about maybe destroying it, so that way that Thanos can't get all six. And then Cap's like, nope, we don't trade lives. We're not going to do it, which is a great line, and it makes so much sense for Captain America as a character. And given that his whole entire thing is that he feels terrible about having survived past his time and all the people that he's left behind, and especially Bucky, and have Bucky having to go through all the terrible stuff that happened because he left Bucky behind, and that is his one true romantic relationship.
Sorry, what? Say that again.
But they don't worry about it, and they all go to Wakanda because Shuri is very smart, and they try to figure out a way to save Vision's life. But then they all get attacked. And when they all get attacked, it's a big final battle scene in Wakanda.
I don't know. It just felt like it was kind of going through the motions. Like it was just kind of, these things were happening, and they were just kind of the logical progression of like, oh, this is what we need to do. We need to go get the Mind Stone out of this guy. We need to go make sure he's going to stay alive. And okay, we're going to have this big fight scene when she's trying to take out the Mind Stone, or the Power Stone, whatever, the Yellow Stone from his head. It just, the whole sequence felt like you can describe it all and you can watch it muted.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I do think it has some of my favorite ideas and moments and characters, for that matter, of the movie, but is a little bit less, taken as a whole, is less engaging than the Iron Man or the Thor plot lines. Especially, I hate this because like Black Panther is a really cool movie and I liked it a lot. But I think, Wakanda was not greatly used in this movie. It just sort of was there.
It was a battleground. And
even the battle, I don't know. There's only so many giant end of the world battles that you want to see, and it had some cool moments, but in fact the severely cool moment when Thor showed up, even if it was fully a repeat of the cool Thor moment from the battle on Asgard at the end of Thor Ragnarok, where he gets the lightning powers. But still,
it definitely, I mean, it's kind of like my problem with every action hero movie of, this is part of the formula of like, oh, big cool battle scene that has, nice special effects and whatever that, doesn't really make sense and is just kind of, it's more like a catalyst for individual fight scenes to happen on the battlefield than anything else.
Yeah. How did you feel about the fight with Thanos on Titan with Iron Man and that crew?
I liked it. It was a little funny, comedic, and it gave good opportunity. It's kind of similar in that sense for the big fight scene of like, it's a platform for really cool things like pulling in the moon down on the planet. That was the first really like, okay, he's doing something really awesome. Again, I don't think he was ever in any danger of losing. And I think that he knew that. And he's just kind of toying around with them to have fun because, he's in his own end game, right? He has like 3 or 4 stones at that point. But they did almost get him, which I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That was cool. Like, and then Chris fucking Pratt, man, that was like, oh
yeah. I loved that moment so much because it makes infinite sense for Star-Lord, especially given like having seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2 of like, it's kind of a repeat of the same thing that happens of what happens when his dad is like, oh yeah, I killed your mom. He just loses it and he's like, you know what? I know that this is not the smartest decision, but who cares? This is who I am. This is how I got to do it. But I liked how long they played that moment of like giving me enough time to be, I know exactly what you're going to do, but maybe you won't. Yeah. Give me just enough hope that you won't.
That was a good moment.
But instead he does.
And
fucks over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why I asked about that fight is that for me, I liked that fight a lot. And I think that overall with a lot of the Marvel movies, whatever is the fight that happens around the middle or in the first third tends to be a lot better and more interesting than whatever is the fight that happens at the very, very end. I'm thinking about like the fight in South Korea in Black Panther versus the actual final fight of Black Panther, or also the fight in South Korea in Age of Ultron versus the final fight in Age of Ultron, or the big elevator fight scene in Winter Soldier compared to the ending. That I think these smaller fights tend to be more interesting, be easier to track, and I don't know, they have more tension despite being smaller scale. And that was sort of the same way that I felt, not in terms of like the fights earlier in the movie, but that fight of just 5 of them or 6 of them versus Thanos compared to everyone versus this unending army of weirdo aliens.
That was such an unnecessary scene. And it was like the funny part about the scene is that whole battle was completely unnecessary. Like from Thanos's perspective, what did he do? He just teleported in there after he already had 5 stones, walked up and took the stone. He could have done that with or without the team of people fighting, having this big battle.
That is an interesting point. That is a valid point. Huh. Yeah, so then now all of the plot lines converge. Iron Man et al. Fail to stop him on Titan. He goes down to Earth. And, there's a moment where Scarlet Witch finally is like, okay, yes, I'll kill you, Vision, in order to destroy the stone. It works, except for he has the time stone, so he reverses it back and then plucks the Mind Stone from Vision. He has all 6. Thor shows up. Thor almost kills him, but then he manages to do the snap and snaps his fingers. And
that moment, that snap was so satisfying.
Just ever so slowly, half of the heroes all start melting away into dust.
Yeah, and I really liked the last moment of the movie where he's like he does his thing. He has got his hut on whatever planet he's on, and he like is satisfied and smiling into the sunset. And there's no touch of regret in his eye. Like, he did his thing.
It's like he said. He said, "I'll finally be at peace," and then he is.
Which, that's all we're trying to do in life is find our own peace.
Yep. Even if you have to kill half the universe to do it.
Hey, live your own truth.
Yeah, God. Because I watched it opening night on that Thursday, and just because I don't think there was any score during when everyone is starting to melt away, and in that last little bit, and just as everyone was melting around, and everyone, like, the theater was completely silent, everyone was on the edge of their seat, and then he sits down and stares out of the sunset, and it goes to credits. And then there was that thing of everyone was like,
"Yup,
wait, really? That's how it ended?
Yeah.
Oh my God." And like, we all just sat in the theater through the credits for a while, just like soaking in it. And it was,
that was
a lot.
That was a scene. And the whole end of the, do you understand what the bit was at the end of the movie?
The with Nick Fury and all them?
Well, that one and the other one. Wasn't there another end credits scene, or was that the end credits scene?
I don't remember. I remember the one with Nick Fury and Maria Hill, where they start to disintegrate, but they send out that little transmitter. Yeah, so that is the insignia of Captain Marvel.
Okay.
And that there'll be a Captain Marvel movie coming out, I think, between now and Avengers 4, but it's a prequel or whatever. It's set in the 90s.
Wow.
And Brie Larson is going to play Captain Marvel.
Yes, she's in
let's look at her IMDb. I know her. Yeah, I know her from Room and from in Short Term 12. Scott Pilgrim. She is Envy Adams and Scott Pilgrim. No, she's in a couple episodes of Community.
Wait, what?
Oh, was she? She was Abed's girlfriend in Community.
Yes. Oh, I'm watching that right now.
But yes, so that is them calling for Captain Marvel, and presumably she will have a big import in Avengers 4 and undoing this whole shenanigan. Okay, anything else that we want to talk about Infinity War, odds and ends, or other things to bring up before talking about, like, what do we think this means for the future and what might happen in Avengers 4?
I'm trying to think of any, like, really cool scene that I liked. Yeah.
I love the Scarlet Witch Vision romance, and I really desperately want Marvel, you only have a little bit of time to green light and get it made before Avengers 4 comes out, but to have there be a
rom-com
movie. Yeah. Oh, I 100%. I want a romantic drama that is a Scarlet Witch solo movie that takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. That is them repairing their strained relationship from the end of Civil War while Scarlet Witch and Captain America's team are on the run in Europe and doing secret Avenger-y things.
Yeah.
And it'll be great. So. Yeah, it's like if the Hulk and Black Widow romance had any chemistry at all.
Yup. What was your favorite scene?
Oh, what was my favorite scene?
Yeah.
Right. I will think about that. Do you have one?
Yes, I do. Well, my favorite, at least, effect was when they used the Reality Stone in the Collector's place, when he just faked this whole thing.
Yeah.
And they thought they killed Thanos, and then like the sheen faded away and it had been burned up and destroyed. And that was just a really cool. Like, I didn't expect it coming. Like, that was like, oh, whoa. It's like, I mean, when they killed Thanos, I was like, okay, there's got to be a trick here.
Yeah.
But
there's some shenanigans
before that happened. I did not expect that to be the trick.
Yeah, let's see. I have a lot of favorite scenes of the movie, or at least little moments. I really loved Thor. Everything with Thor after he comes back on Earth after the getting the axe, especially when he lands with all the lightning and when the Bifrost, and then when he attacks Thanos.
Yeah.
I really love every Scarlet Witch and Vision scene, but especially their first scenes in Scotland and that little fight scene that they have. And then when she finally was like, yeah, okay, I'll destroy the Mind Stone. What else did I really like? I liked when Peter said, hey, or Peter Parker has said, hey, have you seen that really old movie Aliens? And then everyone laughs because he's a teenager and thinks that Aliens is an old movie. And I really liked the whole thing with the Soul Stone and the Red Skull and Gamora and Thanos. I think that
was a good scene.
Like, if I think about it for more than 2 seconds, I get mad about it because I'm like, yeah, I don't buy it that he loves her that much, and that like, or there should have been more leading up to it or whatever. But like, the scene itself was all so very cool.
Yeah.
And very well done.
That's for sure.
And Red Skull.
He was cool. Like, he was a
fucking Red Skull.
Delightful addition. Like, he really,
yeah.
I don't know, I felt like he was serving his time.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, it is not played by Hugo Weaving, who played Red Skull in the first Captain America movie. Who is it? It's someone else that like is very good at impressions that they had do it. Because partially, I don't know if this is the reason why, but I'm sure it's part of it, because Hugo Weaving is went on a whole tear talking about how much he hated playing Red Skull and hated being in the first Captain America movie. And like, he's still, I think, technically on contract, but it was just like, nope, not worth it. Not worth it to bring him back in because he complained so much about like having to be in the makeup and didn't like the movie and blah, blah, blah. So
that's rough.
Yeah. Yep.
I really liked his character. I mean, it was a bit over the top, but he was still good.
Yeah, I mean, it was over the top, but exactly as over the top as a weirdo, magic-obsessed Nazi called the Red Skull, who has a literal red skull for a face, should be.
Oh, Red Skull Nazis.
Red Skull. Anything else about the movie?
Talk about the future.
Chill. So what do you think? Half the universe is dead, half the universe, including Black Panther, who is the star of one of the most successful movies of all time.
Yeah.
So something tells me there will be a little bit of retconning that happens.
So they're doing a new movie next summer, right?
Yeah. So let me actually look at what the exact. I believe that it's that there's Ant-Man and the Wasp this summer, and then next year some combination of Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Avengers 4. But I can actually look up the exact timeline.
Okay. I mean, I think in the future they're gonna. I don't really know how they're gonna find him, or I think Thanos is gonna have to do something. I think he's not gonna be satisfied.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, I can do more for the world. I can lead, I guess. I don't think he's going to be done.
Yeah. So the upcoming movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, July 6th this year. A bunch of like Sony, like there's a Venom movie and an X-Men movie and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Then Captain Marvel, March of next year. Avengers 4, May of next year. And then Spider-Man, Homecoming 2, July of next year.
Okay.
So we'll have Ant-Man and Captain Marvel in between this and Avengers 4. And Captain Marvel is in the 90s, and I believe Ant-Man is set before Infinity War.
Okay, so I guess Captain Marvel is probably going to be some MacGuffin next time. And
yeah,
Captain Marvel is a she, right?
Yep.
She's probably going to have some magic way to find Thanos or something, or I don't know. Well, I don't even know anything about Captain Marvel, so...
Yeah, I don't know too much about her either, other than ostensibly she is, I mean, once she's joined the Avengers, she's the most she's sort of the Superman of the Avengers, of like the most like overpowered of the overpowered superheroes.
Okay.
So my guess is that will have some play of like, here comes an actual genuine like superhero. compared to Iron Man and Captain America and Thor.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I have not read any Captain Marvel comics.
I don't know. It's going to be, I mean, they have really a wide berth to be able to do whatever they want with it.
Yeah. Let's see. So who's left? Captain America's, I think we don't know about Hawkeye because Hawkeye wasn't in the movie, but...
Or mentioned.
I think all of the original 6 Avengers, if we assume Hawkeye is also alive, made it. So Cap, Tony, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye.
Yeah. Okay.
And and then who else? Then Nebula is still alive. M'Baku and Okoye from Black Panther. Rhodey, Rocket, and then Thanos.
Okay. I don't know. I can't really think about what could happen. It's anything, like, not to.
Yeah, my thought, which is not an original thought, I think other people have said similar, is that it probably will be like what I hoped this movie would be, which is like the final tour of the original Avengers, in some way, shape, or form, particularly of Tony and Cap. Now that they're the only ones that are alive, I think that will be a big part of Avengers 4, is them like figuring out how to band together and stop this one last threat in some way that will probably involve major sacrifice of one or more of them.
I mean, I honestly hope they all die, like, to leave room for the next people.
I feel that way about, so I want Tony Stark out of the picture. I want Captain America out of the picture. I want Black Widow to stay around because she deserves better. Black Widow and Hawkeye both deserve better. Yeah. And also, if Black Widow and Hawkeye stick around, that's okay. Even if they're not, especially if they're not like in core Avengers movies going forward. Hulk, take it or leave it. And Thor, I do want Thor to stay around because just let Thor go do Thor movies.
I do love Thor.
And do his own thing.
He's a cool guy. He just does stuff.
Yeah, Thor finally got good. That said, if Loki is dead for real, do you think Loki's dead for real?
I think he's as dead as every other half of the universe is dead. But I think everyone is going to come back to life, including him.
Interesting. Okay. I think everyone that got killed by the Soul Stone at the end will come back. Maybe come back and die again or something like that for some of them, but I think most of those will all come back. I think Loki and Heimdall are gone for real, and I'm 50-50 on Gamora.
Yeah. I hope Gamora doesn't die.
I do too. So the other thought that I've seen bandied about, which this one I didn't even think of, and so I would have to give credit to the general internet, is that there's something about like the Soul Stone actually, consumes souls or something like that, and therefore they exist within the Soul Stone and can be returned, which might be what that scene where after Thanos kills Gamora and then goes into this weird sunken place and sees little baby Gamora, that might be what that is all about. And so like she's still quote unquote alive in the stone, and maybe she'll fight her way out or something like that.
The Soul Stone has the soul of the person you loved or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Which I'd buy. That would seem decently elegant. I'd be fine with that.
I don't know. There's a whole lot about the stones that it's like they can't invest time into.
Yeah.
So it's like the space stone, you teleport. The time stone, you can kind of mess around with time a little bit. The other ones are just like, I don't know. Reality stone's pretty well defined. Well, I don't even know if the reality stone is defined. Like, is it always an illusion or?
Because the reality stone gets really weird, given that it's like the main MacGuffin of Thor 2, and it acts weird in that movie.
Yeah,
like inhabiting Jane Foster and all sorts of weird shit. So
yeah,
I don't know, man.
It's crazy movie.
Yep. Regardless, it's fucking wild that there's been 19 of these, and that it was so successful and that they're like the biggest movies in the entire world.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And that this movie, which is like, it is still a competently made movie, but also it's a movie you have to have watched at least a couple, like probably 3 or 4 other movies in order to even remotely understand what is going on. And realistically, you probably should have seen like 10 movies.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the biggest movies of all time. So
it's a big risk.
I think maybe that's also a big part of like my overall thought about it is, yes, there's some element of like, oh, it's not risky given that you know that people, they're going to undo it or retcon the ending or whatever. But like, hey, it's a big giant superhero movie that ends by killing half the universe with no score. And then the villain just smiles into the sunset and then we cut to black. Like, that's pretty ballsy. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's of the biggest franchise in the world.
Yeah. They went for it.
Cool. So, any closing thoughts then?
Closing thoughts. Scarlet Witch deserves better. And Tom Holland is such a good Peter Parker. Oh my God, he's such a good Spider-Man. Yeah. That's my closing thought. You really should watch Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay. It's very good.
Okay, it's on the list.
I'll
watch it in a month or something.
Yeah, final thoughts for you?
Magic is cool, especially when combined with superpowers. Yeah, that's about it.
Chill. But yeah, okay. Those are thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Only a month or so after the movie came out. If you have thoughts on Avengers Infinity War, or if you have thoughts on, we're probably going to do an episode like this on the Han Solo movie. Yeah. I think might be our next episode, or at least one of our next ones. So if you have thoughts on that, you can email us at theawclub@gmail.com. That's THEAWCLUB at gmail.com. You can also tweet at us at I believe also the AW Club, THEAWCLUB. You can find our episodes at theaw.club. That's THEADUB.CLUB, where you can also find our episode topics guide if you are listening to this as your first ever thing and want to see what else we've done. There's only like 5 of them, so you could just look at the titles, but whatever. And I believe, is there anything else that we say at the end of these? It's been a month. I don't remember.
AW Club out.
AW Club out.
What Legion cast?
I don't think she's in Legion.
Do I just think all white girls look the same?
Quite possibly.
Okay, seriously though, Google Sydney Barrett. No, sorry, Rachel Keller.
Yeah, those are 2 very different names. Rachel Keller.
Rachel Keller. Well, it's her character name versus her. Look through a couple of the photos.
Oh, yep. No, I see. I see there.
Okay, thank you.